we got some pretty big breaking news that is circulating all over social media. My Instagram has been running nothing but posts about this since it came out a few hours ago. And gentlemen, I am very happy that for once we got a break. This didn't happen on a Thursday evening or a Thursday morning, hours after the live stream. We got breaking news right before. But the Russo brothers, that's right, the directors of Avengers Infinity War and Endgame and Captain America, are in talks, early talks, with Marvel Studios to direct Avengers 5 and Avengers 6 or Secret Wars. So, gentlemen, and Spider Brando, I'll throw this over to you first. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think they could potentially bring something to the MCU that has been missing in this saga?
They could bring that synergy back because they were pretty damn good at it with Infinity War and Endgame. Just even watching all the behind the scenes stuff and dealing with whole interconnected casts or crew members that usually aren't connected with one another. I would like to see them back to kind of bring all of the new people we've been introduced to in Phase 4 and 5 kind of all on screen together for the first time again. It's a big, big job for directors to do, especially with Marvel wanting their stories to be what they want their stories to be. It's a big task to try to gel all that together, and the
Yeah,
Russos could definitely do it.
yeah, man. Dude, I'm right there with you. I mean, it's been a minute since we talked about the Russos, but I think last time here at the Point Three podcast, we talked about them potentially. What could they do in the DCU, and we really highlighted like what is it that's synonymous with the Russos, and I think it's exactly what you said, Spider Brando. Like they take that a collaborative approach, and they understand the weight of characters, but they also give weight to characters that may not have had that before they got their hands on them. But it's just two massive things that they were very evident in Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame, and that was literally high stakes storytelling. And it just felt like it was building, and it was just like this master symphony that Joe and Anthony put together that just crescendoed at the right point every single time that they had, a part of those pieces. And I know a lot of people are saying, like, what have they really done since they left the MCU? And, they had 21 Bridges in 2019 that came out months after Endgame. And then, Cherry was whatever with Tom Holland. And then you had, Gray Man, which was whatever with Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans. But it's the action sequences and just how dynamic they make them feel using their one of a kind skills. I mean, that's, I think, what's sorely missed in the MCU just across the board. So, yeah, I hope this is true, and I hope they stick to it. And Hero, I think you mentioned it, or Spider Brown, you might have, when you're talking about Hugh Jackman, just like hand him the blank check, give the Russos the blank check, and just be like, how much? That's it.
And you led into the point directly that I was going to say, because less than 2 years ago, it was around 2022, I think, around this time or so, that they came out in that interview and they were like, hey, we're kind of done with Marvel for now, right? They didn't say that they weren't done forever. They just said for now, and it would be a long time before they came back. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, it was towards the end of the decade that they said they would want to even return. So clearly things have changed. Attitudes have probably shifted. And again, that blank check probably came in and they said, hey, what do you want? And they maybe have started to name their terms, right? It's interesting that the early talk piece has leaked so early, though. Mainly because it seems like we kind of go through this Avengers 5 director chat every other week here.
Legit.
It was the Shang-Chi director at first. He dropped out. Then various names were attached. Most recently, Sean Levy a couple weeks ago. So it seems like he turned it down, and they're going this route. to that point, though, an interesting reaction that we got from a point three loyalist, Dylan, in our Discord. He asked the question: is Feige desperate for a huge win by being in talks with the Russos? And are the Russos desperate for a win after flops like Cherry and the Gray Man? So my question to you guys, and Lou, I can probably kick this back over to you. As exciting as it is that the Russos are possibly back, right? Again, we got to remember early talks. As exciting as that prospect is this the panic button? Is this bad? Does this mean bad times for the MCU?
No, I don't. And for those that are sports fans, and even if you're not, these names may sound familiar to you, but this really feels like the Yankees or the Lakers or the Celtics, who they had a couple down years, right? They didn't meet fan expectations. They missed the playoffs. And now, the ownership and stuff, and they're like, we need to bring a boss back in. Bring back in the guys who won us a couple championships. And I think that's the expectation for the MCU. So I don't think it is I'll put it this way. I'm not surprised that the Russos are coming back in to be the saviors of the MCU potentially, because that name weight will do more for the MCU. And no offense to Sean Levy, A-list character in my mind, director, but the Russos are S tier. And those are the ones where it's just like heavy hitters. But I don't care, dude. I'll take it any way I can get it. You could beg and crawl for miles and be like, please come back. I'd be like, yeah, I'll be there with you. So
Beautifully said. They've always wanted to do Secret Wars as well, and now would be a perfect time for it. They've always wanted to potentially use Wolverine. They have the access to potentially use them now. It's just lining up to be a match made in heaven for both sides.
Dude, I think you hit like the spookiest part of this possible scenario is the character pool that they're going to have to play with.
It's beautiful.
Listen, at that time, kind of again going into the point of what we were saying earlier, is that yes, they did come out and say what they said, that they weren't going to be back till the end of the decade, but things have changed a lot. A lot of real life events have happened since then. I'm sure for them as well. But to your point, just the amount of stuff they can do now with Avengers 5, with Secret Wars. I mean, think about it. You've had actors kind of say, yeah, we're kind of done for a little bit. And then through this various couple months, I mean, the first half of the year, how many of them are like, yeah, I'm willing to come back? RDJ just probably last month saying, yeah, I'm down to come back. Do you not think they wouldn't jump at the opportunity to bring him back? Hugh Jackman out there probably being Wolverine for a little more, if rumors are to be believed. And then also the fact that since then, it all kind of started with Tobey Maguire coming back and Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. Yeah. The sandbox that they have now is significantly bigger.
Yep.
And they realize, hey, this is a chance to actually do something that we can make the dream come true scenario happen. And that's exciting. That's exciting. So I kind of agree with you guys. I don't think this is a bad thing. I know some people might see it as a desperate move, but sometimes the most obvious answer is the best answer.
100%. 100%. And just one little thing to add to this too, of like, when you go back and look at the Russos, Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson looked and felt the best in one of their movies. Black Widow felt the best in their movies. Winter Soldier was the best in their movies. Like, if I'm an actor or actress and I'm going to potentially want to break back into the MCU to add that piece to my resume and make that money, get that check, whatever it may be, right? That's a real life thing. I could imagine being Tobey Maguire and being like, okay, I want to play Spider-Man a couple more times. You're telling me that the Russos won't make that the best looking freaking Spider-Man ever? And we know it's not going to be him, right? And we know it's not going to be him, but people are going to be like, dang, yo, Toby went out on top. Hugh Jackman, dang, he went out on top. RDJ, like, you want to play for coaches like this. That's the best way. You'll want to be there. You'll want to be there.